Shalom, brethren. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakudash. Shalom. And we back at you again. So, what's today? Today's 5/4. Couple of bishops is working and all that stuff. So, we're waiting for the bishops to get here. Everybody's kind of working a little late today. So, we're doing a live stream until the rest of the bishops get here, So anyway, hey, you can pull up your Bible app for me?
Here you go, fire kills leprosy.
Okay, come
on. So you just have to...
yeah, if you got a Bible app, just pull it up for me, Bakusha. Yeah, man, so we living in exciting times,
Because, see, the things that we've been talking about for some of us for over 25 years, some brothers, 40 years. The things that we've been speaking about, now, every time you turn on the TV, you're seeing more and more of the prophecies popping off and being brought forth. And then they have this fluff that they try to show you on a daily basis, and to negate what's actually happening in the world out there. If we could start with Jeremiah 28:8.
Jeremiah 28:8?
Yeah, okay. Jeremiah 28:8. So a lot of the fluff that they show you on the news is not to actually show you the real stuff that's actually popping off and that's going on in the world. That's the reason why they focus on Diddy. Did he do it or didn't he do it? Of course he did it. Of course he did. Of course he's a freak. Okay? They focus on stuff like that, or they want to rehash up the OJ situation, which is taking people's minds off of the billions of dollars that the United States government is sending over to the Ukraine, the billions of dollars that they're sending to Israel, and basically the big nice FU sandwich that they're giving to you, the American people, because all of the money that they're collecting from you in taxes that should be used over here to help the people that's in this country, they're sending it abroad to deal with matters abroad, and they're not taking care of home. That's why everything is shutting down all across the country. Gas prices, just I got to put the premium in my vehicle, and the last time I got gas, I was paying like $3.60 or $3.65 a gallon. That shit within the span of 2 weeks is damn near up to $4 now.
Yep. That's one of the first things that goes. Gas is going to be food. Everything's going to go up. Food's going to go up. Gas is going to go up.
And food's been going up. Food has been going up, especially since the pandemic 2020.
Yeah.
When they euthanized the cows, they euthanized the chickens, they euthanized the turkeys, they euthanized the buffaloes, they euthanized the goats. They dumped out all the milk that was made at these dairy farms. They had to pour all the milk out and get rid of it because they couldn't sell it. Because if they did, they would be sued into Chapter 11 bankruptcy if they sold it, right? Because the distribution centers where this stuff goes to were closed, who they're contracted with. So they had to, by way of the government, they had to stop production. They had to destroy all of the fruits and vegetables. They had to basically mow them down and use it as fertilizer back into the land. The potato crops, they had to destroy the potato crop. They had to destroy carrots and onions and everything. They had to just destroy it and mow it down and recycle it back into the ground. That backed the system up to the point where that's why we got the prices for food every time you go to the store right now. The prices keep climbing. Because these devils, they created that situation. But really, it all goes back to the Most High, too, because like the scriptures say in Isaiah 19, take balm for her. Maybe you'll be able to heal her. No matter what kind of package they come up with to try to bring this country back, it's not going to happen because it's past the stage of no return.
Yeah, because that's what they do to pacify. They say, we got a package, stimulus package, or we got this plan, we got the Biden plan now. We got this. So that's like their patch. It's like patchwork.
Yep.
That's the bomb. Take bomb for a pain. So it's maybe like, it's kind of like the medicines they give you here, right? Give you temporary relief, but it doesn't cure the root of the problem. So the issue keeps coming back. So this place is set for destruction, and people don't see it because they're being distracted, right? Like the bishop was saying, they're being distracted by the news, by sports. Right now is what the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Playoff season. You got the playoffs. You got this whole shit with Diddy. You got the elections coming up. You know, so all these distractions, and they don't see what Esau's engineering behind the scenes, which is a famine, war, you know.
Biological catastrophe, which 2020 was just an inkling of what they're going to do. 2020 was them doing and seeing if they can get away with this, and they did.
Yeah, they were tightening up.
Yep. So
Sure.
now, in other words, they were testing the fences,
Yeah.
so to speak. Now, the next one that they're going to drop, everything is going to be totally shut down. And it's never going to return to, if you think we have some sense of normalcy right now, wait for it, because it's coming.
Okay. I got that scripture.
Go ahead.
There's Jeremiah 28:8. It says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied, both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence.
Prophesied both against many countries and against many kingdoms of war, evil, and pestilence. This country, America, is no different than any of the ancient kingdoms. This is, matter of fact, this is the Roman Empire all over again. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing more than, the new improved version of the Roman Empire. It's the same exact shit going on that was happening during the time of the Roman Empire. Rome got to the part where they were so spread out with their war campaigns that they had to devalue their money, because the Roman currency was known as the denarius. And then the denarius was devalued. It was devalued during, I think, the time of Marcus Aurelius. Then it was devalued again by Severus Septimius. But he dropped it by another 25%. And the denarius just kept being devalued. Meanwhile, the roads and the infrastructure in Rome was falling apart. Yep. They didn't have the money to reinforce or rebuild the aqueducts that carried the water into the cities. The sanitation was becoming a problem. Plague was becoming a problem. So on and so forth. The roads, like you had Appian Way in Rome, which was Rome had that road set up so that the troops can move throughout the country quickly. The road started to deteriorate. That's America. The infrastructure of America is deteriorating all over the country.
Yep, I got a precept for you. This is Isaiah 14. Isaiah 14 it starts at 10, but the point is in 11. It says, all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Would you say that applies to now? Because look, America would have been invaded Ukraine if Ukraine didn't have backup, right? Didn't have backup, which their backup is Russia. But the main reason why they haven't attacked is why? Because Russia got what? They got nukes. So other country, they got nukes now. So America can't run up in other countries like they used to, because now everybody got that technology. They got technology that can destroy America as well, right? So they're saying, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Verse 11, it says, thy pomp, meaning their pride,
yep,
their arrogancy, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, which a grave represents what? Death, right?
Yep.
And the noise of thy vials, you know, which the noise of thy vials represent what? Like celebration, mirth.
Yep.
Okay. It says the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Okay. Which ultimately that's talking about death, right, and destruction, because when there's the worms come when there's a corpse. The worms represent death.
Yep.
Right. But worms also represent corrosion.
Yep. Deterioration,
corrosion. So this place Babylon, similar to the Roman Empire, right? Because you mentioned the roads and all that. Because look, the highways are built for what? They were built for the military. You know, they weren't built for you and I. And the proof of that is you got to pay to travel on the roads because they weren't built for us. And so when you paying for road repair, you're repairing the road. So when it's time for them military vehicles or whatever to be used, they got the road is good for them to travel on. They don't do shit here for you. The shit ain't for the people. Let's build nice roads so the people can travel safely. Now the roads are used for military transport. That's the real reason why they're there. The highways are built for the elites, for their purposes. But anyway, similar thing happened before Rome fell, like you said, because they were all the money the funding was going into war. So they weren't repairing the roads. They weren't repairing the roads, bridges, all that stuff. So everything was going to waste. It was corroded, corruption, corrosion. So America is basically going through the same stages as Rome did before it fell, America's fucked up, man. And the places in America that's touted as the most glamorous, like New York, everybody wants to come to New York.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go to California, Cali, Hollywood. Man, when you step off the plane to New York, these people are like, what the fuck? What's all the what do you call it?
What's all the hype?
What's all the hype about? The roads are all fucked up. New York had the most fucked up roads you can imagine. The roads are all fucked up, potholes, cracks, rats everywhere, right?
Big ass rats too.
Yeah, big ass rats. Like they damn look like fucking. They're as big as like possums and shit. Big ass rats.
Roaches.
Big ass roaches, yep. Right? Big ass roaches. All types of vermin and shit. And then you go to Cali. And you could go to Cali, go to the what do you call it, the walk where they got the stars,
right? What's that? Hollywood Boulevard.
Hollywood Boulevard.
You got the walk of, and you got people sleeping out on the street out there.
Tent city. They got tent cities. Those roads are all fucked up, So you're like, what the fuck is all the hype about, So America is totally fucked up, But the thing is, it followed the same trajectory as Rome.
Because this is nothing more than, and we're going to keep saying it, this is the reiteration of the Roman Empire. Go down to DC, and when you look at DC, you look like you're standing in ancient Rome. Look at all the architecture that's in Washington DC. You look like you're in ancient Rome.
Yeah, well, if you go to any town, right? Go to any town and you go to downtown and you go to the city hall. Any of the city hall buildings, they're all shaped. You feel like you're in Rome. They all got the pillars. All the city halls. Mm-hmm. So it shows you that the government body of this of America is basically built after the similitude of Rome. Even going into the politics, a political party.
Yep.
That's all based out of Rome, right?
Rome, you had the plebeians and the patricians. America, you have the Republicans and the Democrats. It's the same thing. You had the senators were like untouchable in Rome. Same thing here, Senate. The Caesars were elected into office. Rome, in America, the presidents elected into office. It's the same. It's the same exact system. In Rome, the language of Rome was Latin. The language of America is English, but the real language of America is actually Latin. Look on the dollar bill. You see Novus Ordo Seclorum, which is Latin. Novus Ordo Seclorum, New World Order. Look on the back of a dime. It says a pluribus unum, which means out of many came one. When you go to court and they say that they nollied the case, that's a Latin term, nolli. Corpus delicti, body of evidence. That's a Latin term, right? Everything that has to deal with law in America is all Latin. That's why you have to have a lawyer, because everything that's in law is written in Latin. The contractual law in America, they have those fine prints and clauses that are written in Latin.
Yeah.
Everything in the medical field here in America, it's all Latin.
It's all Latin.
All the parts of the body have Latin names, like latissimus dorsimus. That's Latin.
Yep.
Quad, that's Latin.
Yep. So, yep. And look, we were talking about the playoffs, right? The playoffs, that's entertainment. Same thing in where do you think the term bread and circus come from?
From Rome.
That comes from Rome. And they did the same thing. They had the Colosseums, they had the fights, the Olympics, and all that was to keep the people entertained, right? To distract them. So what was really going on? So I got a script here, right? Because since we brought out that America is nothing but a revival of the Roman Empire, which is literally what it is.
That's all it is.
Right? The Roman Empire was revived through America, you know? So it says, this is Revelation 13, and I'll start at 13. The point is in 14. It says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, right? And that's talking about Esau. And if you go back to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, what happened? They dropped fire from heaven. And that was the first time the world has ever experienced anything like that.
Yep.
Right? And this is how Esau got the world to bow to him, right? Is when they saw those fat boy and little boy dropped, and they saw the devastation and the destruction that it did.
Atomic warfare.
The atomic warfare. That was the first time the earth has ever seen anything like that. And that was something the Most High gave him, right?
Yep.
Which is part of his blessing, which is a sword.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go back to Isaiah 54, right? The waster to destroy, that's talking about the nukes. But that whole technology, that started with the atomic bomb. That's where it was birthed, right? So the nuke, and now you got the hypersonic, right? Which is still nuclear power, but now it's in a format where it's faster, which is a hypersonic missile. It's in a vehicle that is faster than the regular nukes. Because the nukes are, what do you call them? They have, there's a hypersonic, and the nukes are known as
ICBMs.
ICBM, intercontinentals. It's a different trajectory, different type of technology, but there's still nukes inside of it, right? So once they got that, the whole world was afraid. Once they saw the nukes drop, they said, oh shit, right? So it said, and he doeth great wonder. That was a wonder, you know? And you could, if you look it up now, man, there's still remnants. What year was that when they dropped them? You remember?
Nagasaki and, that was back in the...
We can look it up. But there's still remnants of that today. If you go to Japan, there's areas where you still see people's shadows that got burned in the concrete, burned in buildings, right? So that's
they got a museum over there to commemorate that.
Look at that. They just had the movie Oppenheimer come out. You know, for them to make a movie about an event, that means it had to be a world-changing event, you know, which that was. So it says, and he doeth great wonder, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And when that shit happened, the whole world knew about it. The whole world heard about that. Okay? Verse 14, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. So he calls all the nations basically to bow themselves to America, right? Because of that was a miracle for that technology. Remember, it never happened before. Never. To be able to split atom, that had never happened before. Now they're able to split the nucleus of an atom, which is where, and to harness the total energy of that atom, right? So it says, and deceive them which dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And all that is really, when it says miracles, that's really witchcraft, all right? Because that's what Esau is good at. He's good at witchcraft, you know? Because look, what that is, the power to create those nukes is the power to manipulate elements. And that's what witches, that's what they do. They excel in manipulating elements, right? They have a term, metallurgy, right? Metallurgy, where they fuck around with metals, with the table of elements, you know? And that basically, a scientist is a modern day witch, you know? So they make a modern day witch's brew, which is whatever that scientific thing is that they come up with. You know, and they actually pray to demons. This is where they got, how you think they got the the vision to create these different technologies? They pray to demons, you know? So it says, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them which dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast. And what's that image? That image is that New World Order. right? That New World Order. Because NATO and the other nations, see, they play ball with America because they're able to make their money here. This is the number one consuming kingdom on the planet, America. This is where all the nations make their money.
Yep.
You know, and whether it's Indonesia, whether it's China, whether it's Japan, Vietnam, they all make their money here, right here in America. You know, so America is being pimped out to the other nations. The scriptures talk about the dog that licked their wounds, meaning the other nations, they make most of the money off of Jake. We're the number one consumers.
Yep.
Here in America. We are the number one consumers, especially the black woman. The black woman is the number one consumer, period. You know, wasting their money on shit. And you got Jake, they waste their money on bullshit, sneakers, and a bunch of fucking bullshit. You know, nice vehicles. Everything comes from other nations, right? And anything you try to do, you know, you have Black Wall Street. Jake try to do something for themselves, they destroy it.
Yep.
You know, but the point is that in order for them to play ball with America, you know, with the elites, they say, look, you got to bow down to this New World Order. Okay. So it says that they should make an image, Slakia, to do, they had the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them which dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast. Okay? Again, that New World Order and all that is a continuation, a rehash of the Tower of Babel. That's what the New World Order is.
Yep.
The New World Order is them trying to finish what Nimrod started. Now, if you go to the EU building, was at in Europe, it looks just like the Tower of Babel. Look that shit up on Google. All right, the EU building looks exactly like the Tower of Babel because that's what they're trying to accomplish. Okay. It said that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And what's that talking about? That's going back to the Roman Empire, right? When the Roman Empire was taken down by Jake,
yep,
right? Starting with Septimius Severus, right? And then it was confirmed or fortified to Constantine. Was that 718 around there? No, 325,
Constantine
right?
was like 324.
325, yeah.
That's when they had the council then, but he was already in there before they had
about
the council.
Yeah, but around 325 AD in that time period, you know. So that's when it went from the Roman Empire, right? Then it went to the Holy Roman Empire. That's when Jake took over. You know, they call that the so-called Dark Ages. And then you had the bubonic and pneumonic plague, right? And then Esau was able to come back up and conquer Jake. And then this is when it goes into what? The Renaissance period. And that was, Renaissance is what? Is the rebirth.
The rebirth.
The rebirth is, Renaissance is a French word that literally means Renaissance, literally means the rebirth. Re is re, you know, back. Naissance means the birth, right? He was rebirth. So when it says this, that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live, meaning that it was rebirth, right? And this goes into what we're talking about earlier, that America is nothing but the Roman Empire, a rebirth of the Roman Empire.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. And this is why you go to anything where you're going into the government, you go to the city hall building, it's a rehash of the Roman Empire, which is what? The kingdom of Esau. Because if you go to Mount Petra, look up images of Mount Petra, you're going to see the same exact
architecture.
Same exact architecture. You're going to see the eagle. You know, they had city halls as well. In Mount Petra, they had city halls, they had city buildings.
Yep.
And they all look exactly the same.
The same buildings that you see here in America and in Rome itself.
Come.
It's showing you that that these people are the ancient biblical Edomites.
That's it. And it says, verse 15, it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he has the power to do so. Why? Because he's able to pass executive orders. He's able to pass certain laws. He's got the military to enforce his laws and his executive orders. So he's able to make the image of the beast come alive. And then he's got the power of deception, right? So look at 2020 when the C-2020, right? When the C-19 hit, that was a huge deception, you know? But through that deception, he was able to give life to what? The CBDC, was it CBDC, the Central Digital Currency.
Central Bank Digital Currency.
Central Bank Digital Currency, which is paving what? The way for the MOTB. You go back to 9/11, he was able to use that disguise or that deception to pass the Patriot Act, right? So that's how he's able to give life into the power of the image of the beast. And then anybody that comes against, he's able to what? Demonize them in the media. He's able to he'll off them and say it's a suicide.
Yep.
Right? Okay. So that's it on that. I had something else, unless you got something. I think it was Habakkuk 2 I had. So I have Habakkuk 2. You got something you want me to pull up?
No, go ahead.
All right, so this is Habakkuk 2, right? Because when we started the stream, we was talking about how the things that are going now, you read about in the news, the events that are going on now, that we've been prophesying or talking about these things going 20, 30, 40 years, the things that we learn, when I first came to the truth, that apostle, learning from Apostle Tahar and other apostles, High Priest King Mashah, High Priest Sariah, all the things they were all talking about and prophesying about is the things that's going on now, right now, But that's the job of a prophet. We read the scripture in Jeremiah 28. It's to prophesy against kingdoms, right? Which this is a kingdom. America is a kingdom. And America is the most technological advanced kingdom to ever be on the earth. So if the other kingdoms are spoken about in the scriptures, the major kingdoms, why would America not be spoken? You just got to know how the scriptures refer to America, which is Babylon.
Yep. It's not going to say America.
It's not going to say America. It's not going to say America. So let's go to Habakkuk 2. I'm going to start at 1. And it says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower. So that's what we're doing. Standing on our watch, meaning what? We're watching for the prophecies. Because the prophecies is the main things that you use to know what time we're in, or if we're at the end or not, which we know we're at the end. Because why? Because we see the MOTBs clear as day is on its way, right? So we know that we're near the end because we know that the MOTB is basically that's the last pillar before the Lord destroy America.
Yep.
Is an MOTB, right? We see World War III, which is what, the third woe known in the scriptures.
Yep.
We see that building up. Okay. Yahushua said what? There would be wars and rumors of wars, and there's always been wars and rumors of wars. So people always say, how's that scripture go? So there's one scripture, Micah 7:10, she that is my enemy. How's it go that say, where's the Lord?
Where's the promise of the
Where's
Lord
the promise of his coming, right? So that's some shit our people, where there's war, there have been wars, you guys been talking that shit for years, nothing ever happened, But you know what? Right now, there's been no other time until right now where they started talking about nuclear warfare. So we know we're at the end.
You got a lot of people saying, look, this is the end of the world. That we're in the time of the end of the world. You got random people out there saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Lord said he was going to pour his spirit upon all flesh.
Right. And you know what? The year 2000 thing, in the year 2000 thing, a lot of people thought the world was going to end, and they were talking about the year 2000 bug and all that shit. So they thought some shit was really going to end. Okay, see, that's the shit I was talking about. Yeah, so damn, what was I saying? Yeah, but you know what? During that time, they weren't talking about nukes, nuclear warfare, But right now in this time, this is all they're talking about, nuclear warfare. Russia's gonna strike America. They're gonna send missiles over here. So we definitely at the end, So it says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables, that he may run that readeth it, right? The prophecies.
Yep.
And anybody in their right mind, when we talk about nuclear destruction, civil war, famine, anybody in their right mind would question and want to know, okay, how do I get right with the Lord? You know? And one thing I noticed, man, would always fucking amaze me is when we'd be on the street 34 and 7 and we had the signs of America's gonna be destroyed. We had the scripture there. You know, we read the scriptures and people just walk by like it's nothing.
Yep.
You know? Like, well, Dan, aren't you interested in knowing like America being destroyed by nuclear missile? You know? But they ain't give a fuck. It's how you know these people are they gone. You know? If that was me, shit, like, what the fuck is this about? How do I get myself right? You know, I don't want to get caught up in that shit. You know? It says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Verse 3. And you know what? A lot of prophecies that go into the nuclear missile is plain. You know, the Lord has it plain. So when you read it, you know what the fuck it's talking about.
Yeah.
You know? So the Lord said, make it plain, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. Right? Verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, which is now. Because all the prophecies are on a time schedule, like clockwork. Boom. So when you see certain things happen, you know, okay, we go, you know, we're getting closer and closer. So when they passed the executive order for the CBDC, for the central for the digital currency, we knew, oh shit, we're a lot closer than we're much closer now.
Yep.
You know, so that's one of the visions. You know. It's like, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. You know. So when it says at the end it shall speak, that's an example of it. Is when they pass executive order for the digital currency. When you start seeing in Sweden, they have all the employees injected with the MOTB, which they did that years ago. Well, they did that before. They did that. We already been speaking about that before they even did that.
Yep.
But that happened years ago in Sweden. You know, years ago. They've been practicing with the MOTB. You know, so when those things passed, we knew we was close. You know, this thing that's popping off between Israel and Ishmael, you know, we know that's one of the planks of the New World Order, that they have to start that war.
Yep.
You know, so boom, that's another vision that came to pass. That's another speaking. So we know we near the end, right?
The situation between Islam and Judaism.
Con. That's one of the final planks that they have to start that war before they bring in their New World Order. You know? So it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. So everything we've been prophesying about is coming to pass through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right? So when we talk about the famines, the famines are coming. The Lord spoke about famines, droughts, insurrection, which is civil war. And we know we close to that because they just put the movie. We know how Esau operates, right? We know his MO. He does something called what do you call it? There's something called revelation of the method, and then predictive programming, right? So we know when they put a movie out about something, that is something that they speaking to those who are in the know, that this is something we're about to do. You know, if you think about all the technology you've seen in all the old movies from the 90s, the shit is around today, from the 80s, from the 70s. It's all around today.
Yep.
So that was predictive programming. You know,
like Star Trek with the flip phone.
Con.
That was the thing back in the early 2000s, the flip phone.
The flip phone.
But that goes back to the 60s.
That goes to the 60s. Shit. Even 80s. When did G.I. Joe come out? G.I. Joe, that was like during the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Maybe even late 70s, 80s. If you go to G.I. Joe, all those weather modification machines, and all them spy machines and all that shit.
Yeah.
That shit that really exists. It exists since back then, you know? Because look, when you watch movies and cartoons, it's based off of stuff that already exists, you know? Technology that already exists. But we don't find out about it. They don't put out to the public until maybe 2 or 3 decades later, when they're ready a couple decades ahead with the next form of technology, you know? So in other words, if you think the shit that we got now is amazing, imagine what the shit is that they got behind the scenes, you know? Blow the shit out the water. You think your AR, whatever gat you got, extended clip, is a shit. Man, they could vaporize you from outer space. Just hit a button and yes, get vaporized.
Yep.
Verse 3 says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it." You know? So meaning what? Patience. Though it tarry, wait for it. Because look, the Most High prophesied against many countries and kingdoms. Guess what? They all fell. So why would he lie about this? The Most High said we're going into slavery. What happened? Did we not go into slavery? Yeah, we did. You know?
Yeah.
So it says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry." You know? So that's the patience. And that's why through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, we haven't changed the way we speak. We haven't changed the way we break scriptures down. You know, we still, the ones of us in GMS, we still here through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, because we know that we just gotta wait. You know, patience. Because look, Yahushai came and did what he had to do. He came down, he suffered, he was crucified, he went back to the Heavenly Father. But guess what? He's still waiting.
Yeah.
He didn't get it. He didn't get his glory yet.
He didn't get the fullness of it.
He didn't get the fullness of it yet. You know? So Yahushai is waiting, and he already did what he had to do. You know? So we didn't finish what we have to do yet, because Yahushai said it. He that endured to the end, the same shall be saved. We haven't made it to the end yet. You know? But Yahushai did what he had to do. This is why he's called what? The author and the finisher of our faith, because he did what he had to do. But guess what? He's still having patience. And he's not resting right now, because he said what? He said, in my father's, how you say it? There are many mansions.
In my father's house, there are many mansions.
In my father's house, there are many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. So Yahushai with the angels out there preparing a place for us right now. You know, so he's not even chilling right now. He's out there preparing a place for us. And he hasn't came back to fulfill his kingdom. You know, and that's what he's coming back to do, to take down the nations, because that's still work left to be done, you know. So it says, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So I could keep reading unless you got something else you want me to bring out. If you got some more scripture you want me to bring out.
Well, go ahead, keep going.
Okay. So verse 4 says this. It says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him."
Yeah, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. That's exclusively talking about the so-called white man. His soul which is lifted up in him, he's lifted up because he's on this, he has control of the whole earth. He has control of the finances. That's like number one. He has control of finances. He has control of food. He has control of water. The two main things you need is food and water. He controls food, he controls water, and he controls money. So he basically controls everything. With those three things right there, you basically got the whole world in your hand.
Yeah, who was it that said, "Give me, and I care not who makes the laws"?
Rothschild said that. Give me control.
Give me control
of the money. I care not who makes his laws, because you can buy them.
But you know what? So when he says that, real money is not U.S. dollar. You know, that's not real money.
Gold and silver.
Yeah, gold and silver, land, and slaves, property, slaves. You know, you can have cattle for slave. You can have cattle as property, but people as property as well. If you own the people, right? Because guess what they call people cattle, goyim is what they call them. You know, but if you own the land, if you own the resources, right, the land, the food, which is what the cattle, you know, then guess what? You own the people, and this is why Esau is going around, right? The scripture's talking about he keepeth not at home. That's in Habakkuk.
Yep.
It might be in the same chapter, but that we're reading now. But it talks about how he keepeth not at home, because what he does is he goes around the world and he wants to gather all the resources. Scriptures talk about how he gathers them like eggs.
Like
right?
eggs, yep.
Like eggs, because he wants to go gather the resources, because if you own the resources, you own the people. This is why he's able to punish other nations by putting what? Embargoes on them.
Yep.
Because he owns the resources. So he can stop. He can stop them. I'm trying to remember, there was a couple, maybe like 10 years ago, was it when they put an embargo on Ishmael so they couldn't sell gas here no more. I forgot what, and the gas had to come from, remember that? The gas prices went real high. Because look, I'm going to say this. When you go to gas stations, you're always owned by Ishmael. Ishmael owned all the damn gas stations, right? So that is their, because we read in Revelation how we were talking about how they allow the other nations to make money here. This is how they keep them, they keep control over them. America got a lot of oil on the American soil. There's a lot of oil, there's a lot of gas here. They don't need the other nations to build gas stations.
Nope.
They don't need that. So if they cut off the other nations, they got more than enough gas. There's a lot of gas here in American soil. There's a lot of oils. There's a lot of oil rigs right here in America.
More than enough resources.
But because the scriptures talk about putting thy bottle to thy neighbor's mouth and make him drink, the way they do that is they allow the other nations to make business here, but they have to bow down to the philosophy of the elites, which is that new world order, that image we spoke about, But America has more than enough resources, are capable enough to sustain itself, This is why Esau came and took his land from Gad, because of all the resources he got. So it says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. And his soul is lifted up. Why? Because he owns the earth. That's part of his blessing. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So because of that, he's lifted up, and he's got the weaponry and the military, Trump always, we got the greatest military, which their military sucks, to be honest with you. The fucking Spetsnaz would kick anybody's ass, any Green Beret's ass over here.
Spetsnaz over there in Russia?
Yeah.
In Russia, when you hit, I think, 12 years old, you're required to go into the military. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're required to go in there. So every man pretty much knows how to handle a firearm, hand-to-hand combat, learn survival tactics.
Yeah, and that training over here is no fucking joke, man. That training over there in Russia is no joke.
They train in the extreme cold.
They train yep.
So they're conditioned for the battle over there.
And now the American military is a fucking joke, man. You got LGBT in there. You got women on the front line, LGBT, Bati men. They had to lower the
physical requirements.
The physical requirements,
So you got the other nations, they're really sitting there salivating, because if you want to get into a ground game with the other nations, they're salivating because they're gonna break foots off in your ass. They're salivating.
Yeah, they call American sheeple for a reason. You're just here groomed to spend money and to make the other nations rich, So anyway, it says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. Why? Because he's the devil, right? But the just shall live by his faith. And the just what? The elect men of Israel. Verse 5, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine. And the wine is what? His philosophy, democracy, LGBTism. He is a proud man. Neither keepeth at home. Okay, so here it is.
Neither keepeth at home. Because they're always abroad dealing with a situation abroad. But you letting home fall apart. You're supposed to take care of home, right? You're supposed to take care of home first. Don't worry about what's going on in somebody else's yard. Take care of your own yard first. But see, that's all designed by the elites anyway, because the elites are basically closing up shop on the corporation of America. It's time for them to call all the loans back. They're calling everything back, and they're basically bankrupting. The country is totally being bankrupted, and everything is going to be shut down. And they want to make America basically a prison colony.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Where the people are basically housed in like a prison type situation. They got this thing where they want to have 15-minute cities, where everything you need is within 15 minutes. No traveling. Like how right now, if we rented a vehicle, we could travel, go to upstate New York, or we can go to Pennsylvania. We could take a 3.5 hour ride up to Boston from here. We can take a ride down to Virginia. We can go to DC. We can take a ride to North or South Carolina. We could go down to Atlanta. We can go to Florida. We can go cross country and go to the Midwest. Go to Chicago or Detroit. They want to stop all of that. 15-minute cities, meaning you're stuck right in that one area and you will go no further than that.
Yeah, well, they that's why they did when the C-19 hit, that everybody up in their cribs.
Mm-hmm.
They were
conditioning.
They were conditioning for the 15-minute city, and they were making their adjustments, whatever they needed to do. They were doing some work outside to make installations. You know, they were changing the infrastructure to make way for these 15-minute cities and for this so-called new world. You know, and what basically they're doing, they're making adjustments for their internment camp, which your internment camp is going to be your own house, right? Which is during when the C-19 hit, they had you in house arrest, which is what a 15-minute city is house arrest. That's all it is. So they perfected that shit while y'all was inside, you know, and they got Lagerback. I can't think of no other term. They got hard off that shit because they had a glimpse of what they consider like a utopia, right? Because look, when that shit hit, man, you go to California, you can actually fucking see the stars and shit. You can see the stars, you can see the skyline. New York City, the fucking roads.
Like it's like the earth started to heal itself.
Heal itself, yeah.
Because like all the smog and all that cleared up. Everything cleared up. It's like the earth started like a healing process of itself. Where when everything was shut down, when that major commerce was shut down, it's like there was a repair situation going on with the earth.
Yeah.
Like it started to heal itself. It started to repair.
God.
All that smog over LA and different parts of the country was gone. And
I heard Apollo Star say this too, but even myself, I was like, damn, this is all right. It was kind of nice and shit. Cause the streets was clean, like shit was clean. The streets were clean.
Yep.
You didn't see low lights hanging out in the streets and shit.
I can tell you what, on the highway, when it was time to leave here and go to New York,
man,
there was no traffic, man.
Yeah, you got there quick as fuck.
It was just a nice straight ride.
That shit was pleasant.
Yeah, and coming back, it was just a nice pleasant ride. Without all the fuckery and chicanery on the road going on, all that, there was none of that going on.
God.
And then the air was a lot cleaner.
The air quality, yep.
Air quality was 1,000% better.
Yeah, con. So it says, yea, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man. Neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell. So that's what we was talking about earlier. Because meaning he's never satisfied.
Never satisfied.
He's never satisfied, And the book of Obadiah goes into that very clearly, because even a thief, when he go rob a house, he'll leave some shit behind.
Yep.
But Esau, he don't leave nothing behind.
Nothing.
I mean, he already got these people in slavery, but he wants you more in slavery. He wants to inject a MOTB in you to take away your soul so he can own your soul.
Yep.
Because if you accept that, that's basically what you're doing. You're saying, hey, you can take my soul.
Yep.
So he wants to own your soul, I mean, he went so far as to steal an identity. He stole an identity.
Yep. And now he wants your soul. But our souls belong to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So you can't have that, Esau.
Yeah.
And that's why the Lord has to come back and destroy this devil.
Yep. So it says, who enlarges his desire as hell. And this is why these different wars starts, or he'll engineer wars or start wars, because he's fighting people to take their shit. All the major wars we had, 1, 2, Vietnam War, whatever little skirmishes, It was all over him trying to take resources.
Yep.
Whether it's land, oil, precious metals, stones, or drugs.
Vietnam was a drug war. It was all about them getting control of the poppy fields over there in Southeast Asia. That's what the whole Vietnam War was. It was actually a Vietnam. It was a police action. It wasn't a war.
Yeah.
Because Congress never declared war, so it was actually a police action. But that was just a opium. It was really an opium war. It was a war to get control of the opium. And what was the biggest thing that was popping off in the 60s and the 70s here in the United States, especially where we're from, the hood? Heroin. A lot of fucking heroin addiction was going on. The 60s and 70s, that was fucking the height of heroin addiction. There's members of my family who died. They died in the in the late 80s into the early 90s because of heroin addiction, shooting dope in their veins. That was a result of what? Coming back. They even showed you in Dead Presidents. When the boys came back from Vietnam, they were all, a lot of them was out there getting high on dope while they was out there in the bush.
Damn.
The movie Frank Lucas, right? With Denzel, American Gangster. What is the drug? Heroin. Or Blue Magic. What is Blue Magic? Heroin.
Mm-hmm.
What was famous gangster Nicky Barnes, who was in Harlem in New York? Heroin.
God.
Nicky Barnes was in a characterization of him was in the movie American Gangster.
Yeah.
So Frank Lucas, Nicky Barnes, Guy Fisher, so on and so forth. It was the dope game.
Yep.
Or the movie Carlito's Way. What was it? The dope game.
Yep. Set up by Esau.
That took place in the 70s,
God.
60s into the 70s. The dope game. That's all a result of the Vietnam War. And the Vietnam War, that thing was from the 60s into the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
60s in. From the 60s on.
Yeah, that was a war against Jake. The heroin and the crack. And crack was a war against Jake.
Crack came in the 80s, but the 50s, 60s, 70s, it was heroin.
Heroin. Yep. God. So it says, who enlarges his desire is hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied. Well, look at the heroin epidemic. Like what you're explaining, that was what Vietnam was all about. The Vietnam, which really wasn't really a war, It was a police action, which they can't say that, because if they say it's a police action, then it denotes that, okay, they went in there and just they ransacked somebody's shit. So they gotta say it's a war.
And so many of the boys died.
Yeah, because
now it was all a drug war. That's really what it was. A drug war.
It's a drug war. Yep.
And still the effects of it is still here now. Well, what do you think lean is? That shit that niggas in the South be talking about, lean.
Yeah.
And purple.
Yep.
Purple and lean. That is motherfucking. That's opium. That's heroin. That's codeine.
Yeah.
That's heroin.
That's heroin.
To the point where a lot of people in the South that is caught out on that lean, right? They drink it so much because that shit, it dries out your kidneys. So now a lot of them is walking around with a hole in their arm because they got to get dialysis now. These are people that's in like they 30s, late 20s, from drinking so much lean, it dries out. It dehydrates you. So then you don't have enough water in your body. So that does what? Destroys your kidneys.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, especially in the South, is suffering from kidney failure from lean, from taking that lean.
Yep.
So these motherfuckers are still on heroin right now.
Yep.
Popping these different pills, this codeine, promethazine, codeine, whatever the fuck you want to call this shit. They be talking about in these niggified ass songs. Heroin.
Yeah. Yep. So it says, that's why it says, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people.
He gathers unto himself all nations, and he heapeth unto himself all people. That's what this devil does. This is nothing more than, like the brother made a statement earlier, the Tower of Babel.
That's all it is.
That's why a code name for America in the Bible is Babylon the Great.
Babylon the Great.
You know what I'm saying? See, you got the Bible speaks about 3 Babylons. You got ancient Babylon, going back to the book of Genesis, with Nimrod and the Tower of Babel. You got the Neo-Babylonian Empire, which is King Nebuchadnezzar II. The Neo-Babylonian Empire. Then you have the virgin daughter of Babylon, also aka known as Babylon the Great. The virgin daughter of Babylon, who are to be destroyed, that's talking about America. Babylon the Great, that's talking about America. Ancient Babylon and the Neo-Babylonian Empire were destroyed.
Yep.
But the virgin daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great, is yet to be destroyed.
Yep. And the way you prove that is when you read the scriptures about how the virgin daughter of Babylon is going to be destroyed, it doesn't match the way ancient Babylon was destroyed.
Nope.
So we know it's talking about the modern day Babylon, which is America, virgin daughter Babylon, right? Because America mimics ancient Babylon.
Yep. Because now the Neo-Babylonian Empire was destroyed by who? The Persians.
By the Persians, yeah.
The Persians took down the Neo-Babylonian Empire. So when the scriptures speak about Babylon the Great being destroyed, where's Babylon the Great at? No? Where is Babylon the Great? It's here. It's America. There's nowhere else on the planet. Babylon the Great is right here in America. And there's going to be a great destruction that comes down upon this place. Because this kingdom is not going to continue at the way that it is. The Lord is setting this place up to take this place out. The Lord is stirring the different nations round about to come against Babylon the Great and destroy her with fire. See, ancient Babylon and the Neo-Babylonian Empire, they wasn't destroyed by fire. They wasn't destroyed that way. Babylon the Great is going to be destroyed by fire. Fire and brimstone. That's how Babylon the Great is going. Babylon the Great is going out. Fire and brimstone.
Fire. Yeah, so I'm gonna finish this up.
Yep.
Okay, so it says, who enlarges his desire as hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied.
That's the so-called white man. He enlarges his desire as hell and is as death, and he can never be satisfied. They have total control over everything, yet it's still not enough.
Yep. It says, but gathereth unto him all nations. This is why America is known as what? The melting pot.
The melting pot.
Because look, when you read Deuteronomy 32, is it 32? The Most High separated nations. That's why all the nations have their own lands. Because the Most High separated them, not meant for them to get together.
Yep. Because
what happens when they get together? They fucking brainstorm some wicked shit, you know? Which is why the Most High destroyed the Tower of Babel, you know? So it says, gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. So, I mean, it goes on. But we're going to stop it there because we're going to open up the main camp. So we're going to stop this right here. And just what's the channel? It's like for the main camp. Is it Jacob Barak?
Jacob Barak.
Yeah, look out for Jacob Barak. We're going to stream on there right now. So with that, you got some. Okay, with that, I'm going to say shalom. All praises to you. How about Shalom.